So instead of me introducing you, I'd like you both to introduce yourselves, mainly because your last name is hard for an American to pronounce. So this is Joost and Marieke, and what do you both do at Yoast?
You start.
So I'm going to tell my name. So I'm Marieke van Rakt, and I am, well, I don't even know what my exact job title is. And that is, we had a lot of discussion about that. So I think on the website it says Chief Strategy Officer. I do a lot of strategy, and I'm interfering with marketing, and I'm actually the founder of Yoast Academy. So that's what I mostly do. Well, then.
Cool.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'm Joost. I'm the CEO and founder of Yoast. My last name is de Valk, but that's hard apparently. I don't do all that much anymore. I talk to everyone and get involved in just about everything in the company, but I don't have any direct report.
Okay. So there's very little that you do. We understand now. Good. Thank you.
Totally not true.
Okay. So when you talk to a small business owner and the small business owner says, SEO is not important, what do you tell them? Why is SEO important to a small business owner?
It's not necessarily important to everyone. I mean, if you're a small business owner and you have a good set of clients and they keep coming up, then I think you're good. I mean,
then you probably don't need a website.
Then you might not even need a website. If you do need a way of getting new clients, then SEO is probably the cheapest way of doing marketing that exists. If you know that people are searching for the service or product that you provide, then optimizing for being found when they search is a very logical thing to do. So that's what SEO is, and why I think a lot of companies over years have made a lot of money by doing it right, and just by doing the simple things.
Doesn't make sense to have a website without anyone finding it.
Yeah.
So without SEO, a website just doesn't make sense.
So, and that's when you start with like the simple things, like thinking about what do people search for that I want to be found for.
Yeah. So the search engines that are relevant for SEO are Google. Anything else?
Depends a bit on where you are.
Yeah.
So in Europe, it's Google and nothing else. In some countries, it's Google and Yandex, for instance. In some countries, it's Google and Bing. In the US, Bing still has a bit of market share.
I think you're forgetting YouTube now.
And there's,
which is a totally different market, but that's what people are searching
for. So YouTube and other types of search engines. So if you have a product that you want to sell, getting it on Amazon and selling it there as well is also a way of attracting more people to that product.
A place to discover things.
Yeah.
And making your website or your product optimal for being discovered on the platform. So then would you say that Google is good for small businesses, bad for small businesses? How is that relationship in your opinion?
I don't think it's good or bad. It is what it is. It is the entrance point for many people to the web, and in itself, it tries to be fairly neutral, I think.
Yeah, there are a lot of advertising.
There's a lot of.
If you're like in a competitive market, there will be 3 or 4 advertisements before the organic results even come in.
Yeah.
So.
For that makes it harder, and advertising in Google can become expensive.
Yeah.
Depends a bit on what you're selling and what your market is. But I don't think Google in and of itself is good or bad.
Has a good or a bad effect on it.
It's how you use it and how you approach it that determines that more than anything else, I think. And Google tries to help small businesses with some of the stuff they do, but sometimes they also make it a lot harder. So it's a constant battle.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you have to do to be search engine ready.
Yeah, no, especially if you want to appear on Google Maps and stuff like that, it becomes hard quite quickly.
Yeah. So let's talk about the technical aspect of SEO, and thinking about a small business owner that might not have somebody technical on staff. What are some pieces of advice that you have for hiring a technical SEO, or for a small business owner in general that might need this in their life but doesn't know how to go about getting it? Because we all know the phone calls that people get, right, and the emails.
So I don't think they need that.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
I think you need WordPress. I think you need Yoast SEO.
Yeah.
And if you want to appear on Google Maps, you need our local SEO extension so that we can do all that stuff. And I hope that we've made it easy enough so that everyone can just configure that.
So, ideally, and of course, new things come up, but WordPress is actually really SEO friendly. And then combined with our plugin, it's supposed to be that all the technical stuff is covered.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't think everything is covered, but the basics
for a
are
normal
just-
small site, we should have everything covered at that point.
So you're taking the kind of the guesswork or the difficulty of hiring out of the SEO game.
Yeah, the technical SEO stuff is, I mean, it's not something that anyone should be thinking about for a small site.
No.
Just no need.
Then you have the content SEO stuff, which is hard as well. That still exists because we can't all the technical things.
We can fix.
Yeah, we can build in a plugin, and we can only help you do the content stuff, but not do it for you.
Yeah, so you still have to write
Your text.
good copy.
And do your keyword research.
Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper on good copy. Now, yesterday you gave a talk about internal linking, which might appear to some that are not in the WordPress space, and SEO in general might seem like kind of boring, right? Like, now I gotta make a link and find this and find that, and then I have to write a keyword into the content and make it sound really good. And I understand that that's not. I'm not saying keyword stuffing. I'm not saying keyword stuffing.
That's very exciting.
No, it is exciting. But could be anyway. So
Good question.
tell me a little bit if there's like one or two takeaways from your talk about internal linking.
What I like about internal linking, and so that's why I thought it's exciting.
You love it. You have a big
love
smile
it
on your face.
because
It's great.
because it's a thing you can control.
Yeah.
So writing text costs a lot of time, and internal linking is something you can really quickly improve. And I don't say your ranking will improve as quickly as that, but it's something that's active. You can own it. So what I said in my talk is to really think about which articles are the most important to you, which ones you want to rank with. Because if you got that question wrong, you're ranking with articles that don't give you any new visitors or don't get visitors to buy your product. That's just stupid. Yeah. So just think about that first. And then if you have an internal linking structure in which you link from the tails to from the less important articles to that one most important one, you'll get that one to rank for.
Even on Yoast.com, we regularly just see that, okay, we're ranking number 4 for that keyword, and we'd like to rank number 1. Just by adding some internal links from other related posts within the site, you can often boost yourself into that spot. So as you're building content over time, internal linking becomes more and more important and more powerful.
Is it as important as external links?
Yeah,
Yes.
has something to say about that.
Yeah. So in the original page,
he said you're going to have.
so in the original PageRank algorithm, which Google published in how they calculate the value of a page, there is no difference between internal and external links.
Interesting.
So there is no, because a page has a certain value, and if that page links out to another page, it gives some of its value to that page. And if that page is an internal or external page, does not matter to the original algorithm. Now there have been some changes to that algorithm, of course, but it's very good to realize that inherently the whole system is not built to make a distinction between the two. Yeah,
that's the most interesting SEO tip I've gotten in years, maybe.
Yeah, right? Exciting. Not boring.
It's true. Besides Yoast SEO, okay, you can include Yoast SEO. What are the best resources for small businesses for SEO?
God, that's a hard question.
Yeah. So like tools and stuff?
Yeah, tools and maybe places to read about SEO.
The problem is there's a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
So we try to do hard on Yoast.com and in our courses. If you really know nothing, it's probably best to start with a course, either one of ours or just pick one on LinkedIn Learning or whatever. But
we have a free one.
We have a free SEO for beginners course. Because it is you need a bit of context, and once you have that context, you can read more around it. But if you don't have the context of, okay, so what is this thing that I'm learning about? All these articles might scare you more than that they actually give you new knowledge.
Yeah, so if they tell you to do SEO, keyword research, and then you're like, oh, well, I got to do all this keyword research, you might find yourself lost.
SEOs in general are very good at making things sound very hard.
And they're also good at making tools which look like they're doing the trick, but like in keyword research, you have all those keyword research tools, but you still have to do the thinking yourself. So you can use like keyword research tools in order to come up with like related keywords, but thinking about which ones are the words that my audience is using, nobody can do that for you. So I don't use any tools, but I'm like not a normal person.
No, but the tip I've been giving companies for like the last decade is if you have a customer service department, or even if you take the calls yourself, or if you talk to customers, if they use a word that you would not have thought of, write it down. Yeah. And make your customer service department do that too. If they use a certain word to describe something, write those words down. Think about how they describe what you're doing, how they describe your product. That is a very hard thing to do. It's also almost impossible to outsource. Yeah. Because other people will not do that right for you.
So I think a lot of our advice is focused on you have to do the hard work, and there are some tools you can use to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, but SEO is, I always like to say, SEO stands for seriously effortful optimization. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, making meaningful content that answers meaningful questions for your
there are
customers.
no shortcuts there. There are not.
Now, there used to be shortcuts, and Google has literally taken them all away.
In English.
Yeah. In other languages, you can still spam that.
Yeah.
But don't, please.
No, don't.
You heard it from Yoast. So thinking back to that first algorithm that we talked about earlier, how has SEO changed, or how has Google changed, or more generally just search engine tactics or the landscape? How has that changed?
That changed a lot, I think.
Yeah, so mostly when it was very technical.
Yeah.
And they've become better and better at recognizing how websites work. And they were pretty poor at understanding text, and they're getting better and better at understanding text and context. So right now, I think we're in an age where you can just throw up a website, and if you write good content and some people write about what you're doing, Google will find it. No tricks needed. And that's very different from 5 years ago.
Yeah, so nowadays we say if it feels like a trick, it probably is a trick, and you shouldn't do that.
No, yeah.
So let's zoom into the future then, and think about things like JavaScript and stuff like that. Is that something that you think will be indexable in the future, content within that? Or?
So it is already indexable, it just takes a lot more time. To be fair, every project I've seen where they use a lot of JavaScript can be optimized to do better in search by pre-rendering it, so by giving Google static HTML. Google will get better with that over time, but don't place your bets on that just yet.
Yeah.
So build normal pages in normal HTML, or maybe even an AMP HTML. But don't try to do all too freaky stuff, because Google will have trouble with it.
And then now thinking 5 years into the future, maybe even 10 years into the future, what does SEO look like? What does your business look like in that amount of time? Because the internet's a crazy place. I mean, it changes all the time.
If only I knew.
I think so writing remains something that is hard. It's not going to change. It's been that way for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
So people will still need help to do that.
Yes, this is what we are focusing on a lot, on helping people write better content.
And that could also
structure that content better across the site.
mean video.
Yeah.
And so content will always remain something we can help people with.
And I think there's a place for us now and for at least 5 more years, I don't know 10, but in helping people do structured data right, in getting the metadata in the format that search engines want it in. That's not something that search engines are suddenly going to do like that without needing any help.
Well, and I do think that all websites are getting larger because companies have been having websites for an amount of time and they've been adding content, and then it gets harder to do that right and to structure it right. So, so structuring your site is something that will remain important as well and will become more important. We have that at Yoast. We don't ever throw anything away. So now our attic of the website is full of things Yoast wrote in 2004. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why as the website grows older, that you need to clean up and you need to structure better. So one of our challenges is going from on page level SEO to website level SEO. So we've made some steps there with our internal linking suggestions and things like that. Yeah. And we can probably do a lot more.
Yeah,
and we'll do a lot more over time.
Because nobody's going to throw away their website. That's not smart for your ranking. So then you have like a really big, ugly thing.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to do, and SEO over time has evolved. I've been in this industry for 12 years now, and we've gone from a lot of technical tricks to a much more content and structure based approach. Even though the content and structure was already important in the beginning, there was a lot more tricks around that at that time, and now we just focus on a lot more different things. It'll always evolve.
Got it. So as things evolve, maybe can you give 1 or 2 tips besides installing Yoast SEO, besides subscribing to your website and your tutorials, because I know those are probably the first 2.
Oh.
We're marketers. What can I say?
It's not. I mean, you don't get to be the largest SEO plugin for WordPress in the world by not being good marketers and making a great product.
Yeah. I think the most important one is if you have a website, you should know who your audience is. And so doing a little bit of research to know who they are and what kind of language they use, that's like keyword research, and that's not we have a training about that, but we don't have it in our tool because it's something you should do yourself. Yeah. And that's something you should take the time to do. So like surveying.
And knowing what you have. So my simple trick for today is go into Google, type in site : your domain, and type in the keyword that you want to rank for, and be astonished by which page shows up as number 1. Because usually Google thinks something else of your website than you do. That's very practical. So think, as Marieke said, think of your audience, think of the keywords they use, and use one of those keywords to do site : your domain name and that keyword in Google. See what comes up. And
which page comes up.
Which page comes up. And if it's not the page you expected, go work on your internal linking.
Wow, that's a great tip.
Cool. That is a really good tip.
That just now.
Actually, as soon as we're done.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Thank you both for joining me and for giving us all of your awesome knowledge. It's always a super big pleasure to get to talk to you. So,
you're welcome.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah.
Yes, we enjoyed it too.